Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Devas. Welcome to the show. This is episode 1387, here live on Friday with Miss Mara, spinning the dials, and we are here. Good morning. Happy Friday, Kostuba.
Happy Friday to you, Raghunath.
Yep. Doing a little family tree history.
Oh, going back to the old country?
I got the papers from my grandmother, or from my deceased grandmother, where we were from.
What do you mean you got the papers?
I got the papers from Ellis Island.
How'd you get that?
I don't know. My mom had them. She gave them
right.
to me. Yeah. 1921.
Your grandmother came over?
Yeah.
Look at that.
With a little baby. With a little baby.
With a little baby?
Yeah.
And that was your mother?
That was my aunt. My mother was born in America. We're from Teramo, Italy. Teramo or Santaramo, Italy.
That would be in the Abruzzo state.
In the Abruzzo state. I told you before the show, and you're playing it off like you know Italy, but whatever. Oh, man, I laughed so hard at this podcast yesterday. We have these microphones. If you take them away from your face, you can't hear the laughter. I had one of those laugh attacks yesterday on the show. When you said,
on the floor.
I thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to die, and I lost consciousness when
Mara was trying to pull you back up.
I wonder if you can die. Google that up. If you can, you can die laughing.
Especially if you have some kind of, you can hurt yourself. You're like down in the gut area, right? Like if you got
like a hernia or something.
Hernia, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Careful.
So everything's going good.
It's an extremely rare form of death.
An extremely rare form of death.
Usually resulting from cardiac arrest or asphyxiation.
It may be rare, but not too many people like regularly collapse on the ground like laughing. So you might be in the
asphyxiation
area of concern for you. Right?
Well, I got my heart monitor on all week. Hooked up. My heart will tell you if it's. They're going to read this EKG and they're going to be like, "Oh my God, what's happening there?" It's 7 in the morning every day.
What does that look like?
Oh, it's just an EKG thing. It's almost like
things.
Yeah, like a little calculator thing that I wear on my belt. It's nothing's.
Okay, keep me track.
Anyway, everything's good. Hey, people have been ordering cases of books. If you're a yoga teacher, or if you're an influencer, if you want to give Christmas gifts, or if you just like me, get a case of my books and get them wholesale. Just DM me, and I'll send you a case. Right now, I think it's Henry and Mukundika Shore are neck and neck for the high scores of book distribution.
Okay.
It's in the 50s. Why don't you take a case, Kostuba? Go out on your street corner.
If I love you.
If you really love me, you'll distribute my books.
Okay.
Prove your love. Love is an action, Kostuba. Okay. What's the news today, Miss Mara, before I keep going with this?
We have a Cult of Cain Asana class today for our supporting members at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That's Feel Good Friday with Josh Kane. We have Bhakti Recovery Group meetings. There's a Shloka class at 12:30. You like that?
Shloka classes are back. Learn Sanskrit shlokas, even if you don't know them. It's a great class, and he teaches.
I don't think this is with Nityananda Chandra.
Oh, what is this?
It's through the Bhakti Recovery Group.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Forget it.
But yeah, I don't know that they memorize them.
Okay, forget it.
Maybe they're just memorizing like recovery shlokas, like one day at a time.
I got it. I got that one. There are a lot of good ones.
True. All right. So there's that meeting.
Recovery shlokas.
There's adult children of alcoholics and dysfunctional families at 1 p.m., Japa chanting at 5 p.m., and Marijuana Anonymous at 5:30 p.m. Eastern.
Whoa, they're getting like really multifaceted.
I know. I feel like that one's helpful.
Adult children of dysfunctional families. Like, who doesn't qualify? You don't qualify for that. She's got the most functional family I ever met. That's why she's so normal.
You say it like it's a problem.
You got some problems. You're too normal.
We also have our Q&A day tomorrow at 8 a.m. So if people have questions, they can write into us at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com.
You
But
want
you
a
got to
little
get
more.
those in early.
You need a little adventure in your life. You need a good absentee parent.
Actually, today would have been my mom's birthday.
Oh,
Passed
Mara.
away, Raghunath, yeah.
She quit her life, moved back home to take care of her mom.
How old were you then, Mara? Tell us again.
27.
Yeah, 27.
27.
27.
Oh, my kids are going to have to take care of me. That's sad.
Will they?
Yeah, will they?
Unless you die from laughter.
All right, nugget time, Raghunath.
Uh,
By the way, that's a nice Ben and Esther shirt you have there.
Isn't it cool?
Yes, it
I
is,
like
yeah.
it a lot. Okay. Thank you. Um,
We got a
Here's the
nugget.
nugget. It's from Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali, what a character, huh?
What a character, huh?
I'm impressed.
Cassius Clay.
Well, that was his name before he.
Do you remember the song Muhammad Ali?
Was that? No, I don't.
Muhammad. It was like one of those 70s songs, like Mr. Jaws. Remember Mr. Jaws?
Maybe I don't know.
Mr. Jaws. It was like a compilation song. Anyway, they made a lot of great things in the 70s, and the Muhammad Ali song was one of them. Just YouTube it. It's great. Okay. Muhammad Ali said, service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth.
Okay.
Hmm.
Read it again.
Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. So we're here on earth, and otherwise you're right. You could be living a place and not paying. That's called a freeloader or a squatter. Don't squat here, Kostuba. You
All
pay
right.
some rent. Here's the rent. You got to give back. You got to accept that people are taking care of you, that you're being nurtured, you're being loved, you're being maintained. This is the mindset of a devotee, whatever religion you are. Devotee just means devotee to God. You don't have to say, well, I'm not a devotee like you guys. If you feel like you're trying to devote yourself to a higher purpose, to a higher cause, to light, to truth, to love, to God, guess what? You, my friend, are a devotee.
Okay.
Right? So
Sure.
service to others, that's the rent you pay to have. And it comes from recognizing that you are maintained, you are loved. People have gone out of their way for you. People have given back to you, and you appreciate all that you've got. Whereas the opposite is true with material thinking, which is I'm entitled to all this stuff. I
That was the
deserve
word
this.
I was looking for right there.
Entitled. The government owes me. My family owes me. My stupid dad owes me. Right?
Yeah. There's life is always balance, right? There's generally two sides to something, and I think we're living in this polarized world right now. So we get triggered by anything. We choose one side, and we get triggered by anything that speaks to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a polarity, or there's two different ways of kind of understanding one's place in this world. I think you could say it's Eastern and Western. There's some truth to that. Whereas like the Eastern world is like you're indebted. By being in this world, by being born in this world, you actually have some debts to pay to the people that have provided so much for you. That means your forefathers. That means the people in general. Whereas, like, let me put it this way: there's more of a communal concern in the East. There's more of a feeling of like my life. There's an obligation in my life to serve the community in some sense. And I think the Western, particularly the American, maybe, like I think America is like what the whole thing represents is all about freedom. And freedom means lack of debt or, lack of responsibility to the community. Here, you're free to do whatever you want to do. We've kind of put that idea on the altar like so rabidly almost that we can become like very entitled. And I think there's, we're reading now about the duties of the householder. And the duties of the householder is really drawing one's attention to like, hey, at this stage of life, you're really meant to take up service to others. You're really meant to embrace that. If you don't, because you have this money and house and spouse and family and all of this kind of like personal realm that you're operating in more intensely than ever before. You know, when you're the brahmachari, when you're the young and the celibate student, you know, your life is dedicated to serving your elders, right? And being trained by them. They're serving you and you're serving them.
Mm.
But then you hit that married life, and the idea is now you got your own money, your own home, your own freedom. Don't get lost in that. Don't let it be a pit that you fall into and just get lost into this world of entitlement. That entitlement, we've all seen children who act totally entitled.
Oh, yes, we have.
Oh man, those
Yes, we
kids.
You know, Kasub, it's not just entitlement. It's also this sort of like separateness from anybody but you, meaning you see this a lot in the
Isolation.
East, like family tradition. And you have a debt to your grandfather and your great, no one in our family line has ever done this before. You know, I've got to make my ancestors proud, or pictures of the grandparents or great grandparents on the altar. It's like a little bit, but for the most part, I barely know who my grandparents are. People just get married, they move away from their family. There's no connection.
In
And
the Western world, you're saying.
in the West, I find that maybe
Yeah.
I'm crazy.
No,
But
in India, you'll much more commonly see, oh, here's my family tree. This is, you know, they can draw it back.
and there's some integrity with wanting to please your elders. What the whole Eastern world gets at. What went so
Well,
wrong in the West?
well,
No appreciation
but that's
for
why
the
I say
elders.
there's a balance because, like for instance, in India, unless it's carefully monitored and carefully thought about, you know, like for instance, the pressure in school in India is just like too much.
It's out of
You know,
control. It's out of control.
the pressure on like someone marrying into a family. Oh God, it can be like
Oh
too
God,
much.
who you're
You know?
marrying? Yeah, there's too much. Yeah, you
So
don't just
so that's there.
Yeah, I
You
guess
know.
it's different now. And India's changed since we were growing up. Even I say that because we were in a huge renaissance in India of you just didn't date. Now people date. They just date different people. No one did that in India when we were younger.
Yeah.
Your parents
Love
arranged
marriage.
everything, right? Vidyavali? Where's
Let's check.
Vidyavali? Let's get her on the show.
All right.
Vidyavali, come on, talk to us.
We want to find out about the marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Vidyavali. You're from
Uh,
California, right? No, where are you
He-
from? Yes.
Now, yeah.
Originally South Indian, grew up in Assam. Yeah.
Grew up in Assam. Okay.
Born brought up there. Yeah.
You're
Tamil
married.
family.
You're married, right?
Yes.
So Tamil is like they don't even learn Hindi and Tamil. They're like, this is the original language. We're learning this language. It's the
Mhm.
closest to Sanskrit, correct?
Right. Right.
Okay.
Everybody says theirs is the closest to Sanskrit.
Yeah.
Bengali say that. Everybody says.
Yeah.
Vinyavali, did you get an arranged marriage from your parents, or was it a love marriage?
Mine wasn't arranged.
Was not arranged.
It was arranged
It was
marriage.
arranged.
Okay.
Yes.
How old were you when it was arranged?
28.
28.
Mm-hmm.
And was it in India or in America?
And it was in India, but my husband, before coming to US, he was living in Singapore.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Still in Eastern, considered, you know,
Mhm.
Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
And how were you from the? How did it work? Can you give us?
How'd
We're
it work?
Americans. We don't get anything. Explain this to us. How does it work?
Sure.
Parents
Sure.
contact parents.
Yeah. So in my case, my family had my horoscope made, and then they kind of spread out, gave it to a few prospective families, and then they shortlisted the boys, and they told me like, these are some good profiles we think is good for you. Then I shortlisted them, and
Shortlisted.
yeah.
Mara was on my short list.
Well, this is nice. This is kind of like a compromise, right? Like
Yeah.
first the parents said, we're going to go to the families that we trust, where we see like they have good values.
Yeah.
And how
And
did they
then-
find
Exactly.
those families? Are they part of your community?
Yeah. It is.
Okay.
They are part of the community, so they have their set standards, and based
Sure.
on that they shortlist, and then I give my standards.
You see,
and we
so there's a
came to-
little give and
Yes,
take there.
exactly.
It wasn't
It's
like
not-
they just
I
ignored
Wonder
your
what
wish.
her
No.
standards were.
Obviously, my standards were like some devotee standards.
Handsome. Tall,
not
Was
wealthy.
that considered a standard, like handsome? Do we even get to go there? If we're going to choose a husband, do you get to go like, well, you know, I like having a full head of hair, stuff like that? Is that a
my husband's bald, so I didn't have that standard.
That
So you
was not
should
on
have
her list.
you should have added that to your standard if you
I mean, I was fine. I was looking more at the qualities, so I was okay with
Very
that.
good. Very good.
yes.
Yeah. So my family, they wanted to make sure like that the boys' family is from a good family. They have a good, I guess, good reputation in the community. Also enough wealth to take care of
Enough.
me.
They want to
things
make
like
sure
that.
their daughter's cared for.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
very reasonable. These
Yes.
are
Totally
reasonable. See, we don't lead with intelligence. We lead with passion. We lead with, she's the one. I saw her. We looked at each other across the room, and I knew she was the one.
Because she was hot.
Yeah, because that's what, right? That's what it is. She was hot. It's got nothing. She didn't care if he was bald. That wasn't on her list. That wasn't even on her short list. It definitely wasn't on the parents.
Also, astrological compatibility. So you
It's also
take
considered.
yes, yeah. I mean,
Let me
not
ask you a
everything.
Let me
Not
ask you a
everything
question.
matches. Oh, sorry.
Not everything
yeah.
matches.
But at
But you
least
want to
like
look for red
80%.
flags.
Exactly. You want to look for red flags. Like the first guy they shortlisted, there were too many red flags. So they just dropped it. They didn't even ask me.
So you didn't even
Yeah.
you don't even see a picture of them, right?
Yeah.
It's-
Yeah. If it's red flag, it's red flag. No
It-
compromise.
Not even a
Yeah.
photo. And so then
No.
after the short list of yours and the short list of and the short list of theirs,
Yeah.
then you see a photo of them.
Yeah. Yeah. You get to see a photo.
Okay.
But I didn't really see like, I mean, because I was like so adamant on my standards. So finally, like but then
Who are these people? Who are these people with such high standards? So impressive.
But then my husband, like back then, like I didn't know who he was, but my family was very insistent with him and his family, so I decided to give it a shot, and then things worked out, and then we went
Very
forward.
good. Got to know each other.
How long you been
Yes,
married
yes,
for?
yes. I married. So we got engaged in 2018. Then we got married a year after, so 2019. So almost 2019, 2024, 5 years.
Great.
Nice.
Let
Beautiful
me
little
just
daughter.
jump back a second.
Yeah.
And your parents are your parents alive? Both your
No,
parents?
both my parents are dead. My aunt, my paternal aunt, she was the one who arranged all of this.
Just
Oh,
so
wow.
tell me how long were
Mhm.
your parents married for?
So my mom passed away when I was very young, maybe 11, 12 years old. So
Oh.
my dad remarried. So I have a stepmother. Yeah.
Okay.
But my dad passed away when I was 23.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Because they have very, very low divorce rate.
Yeah, my parents were never divorced. Yeah.
Never divorced.
Mhm.
And how often did you but you dated your husband before you married him? Or it was
Not really. I didn't date him. So we
didn't
had
date.
like a chance to meet, and then within 10 days we got engaged because
Look
I
at
mean
that.
the standards were
go.
already there. I mean it was
Yeah,
already
you know, it's like shopping for a car. It's like, you know what I mean? You know what you want. It's like an educated
Yeah.
consumer.
I think it was in the Gandhi film where they talked about this, where like I think Gandhi said, like in the West, you marry the person you love.
Yeah.
In the East, you love the person you marry.
Mm.
So, in other words, it's a kind of you're building a love based on something that we're going to work together at this marriage, and we're going to serve together. We're going to serve each other, and through that, the love develops.
Exactly. Through duty, love develops.
See
what
that,
I was
Raghunath?
told. Yeah.
Mara, note that one down. Through
Through
duty,
love develops.
Think about that one, Westerners.
Vinyavali.
Oh my God, no. Also, my spiritual teacher tells that, more than I love you, I am grateful for you is more important. That's what he said.
Now you see here, this is what we're talking about, that entitlement, and it's we're going to get into this because in today's show we're going to get into these verses about like if you have wealth, because that's what you have when you're a householder, ideally some. How do you engage it? And it has to do with serving others, and kind of, a lot of it has to do with putting on events. Whether it's just like in your own home and you're inviting people into your home, or whether it's like creating a public event wherein you feed everyone and you have some kind of
we call it a
ritual.
party, Kastuba.
Yeah, for us, it's a whole different thing.
You're like
anyway, we'll get
an
into
event where people come over and you feed them.
But this, I think, what Vindavali's discussing is actually kind of like a softer version of like even a stronger traditional kind of thing where it's not only there in the Indian culture. I think it was just there
Mhm.
in cultures in the past, like where you wouldn't even see the bride or the groom. Like they would pull up that veil and it's like the first time you've seen them,
Yeah. Yep,
you
yep,
know?
yep.
It's like that was how
That's
it
what the
worked.
veil was for. It was sort of like surprise. It was
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't have that. I couldn't do that. But in
That's
my
yeah, that's I
and
don't know.
these days,
That's
it's
would be
like
a very rare thing nowadays.
yeah, it did. No one does it. No one. Yeah, it's
But
always
that's
like
that's how
secrecy
much
and.
their culture
Mm,
was like
mhm.
removed from like the individual's personal concerns and it was more of a communal family kind of thing.
you know, while we have her here,
Well,
what about
let's get
your
into digging other things.
like do you have like a connection with your grandfather, great grandfather? Like, is there some family lineage type of dedication you have?
Um, so my father kind of moved away from South India to North India, so never got to see my grandparents, or very rarely. So I
Why
don't
did he
have that
move? Do you know
connection.
why he moved?
He first went away for graduate school and then for work.
Okay, so he
Mm,
found work there.
Yes,
Or that's even kind of a modern thing. Like
yes,
yeah,
in the
fine.
past, you wouldn't have had to go so far to find your
yeah.
job
Mm-hmm.
Were
or
they
your
a
education.
religious family?
Um, my father not that much, but my extended family, they are religious.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Again, culturally, no one really knows what they're doing. Like,
Right.
yeah, like most Indian families, like
Same with
very religious. Yeah.
same with Catholics. They don't know what we're
Mm-hmm.
doing. We're just like, I didn't even know what I was saying. Give us this
Yeah.
day our jelly bread. That's what I thought we said.
That's why
Yeah.
what Prabhupada did is so dynamic in India right now
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
he's it's really showing, hey, this is how it all works. This is why it makes sense. This
It,
is
yeah, it almost like he almost like did a Hinduism for dummies, if you think about it. It's like we've just been
yeah.
following all this stuff ritualistically. We don't even know why. We don't even know why we're doing it, but we know it's a good thing
Or
because they're ethical people, and
Mm-hmm.
you know sometimes we even feel like in America, like people who secular people, they'll say like, you know what, let's go to church on Sunday. They'll say things like that, even though they haven't maybe never gone to church when they were children. They just something feels right about
supposed
it.
to do it.
Yeah, so there's
Y-
a lot of rituals and a lot of ethics and stuff like that. So you know, let's just
Mm-hmm.
worship our family deity and
Don't know exactly
create
what
a
we're doing.
little altar. Hindus do it a little bit more than say Catholics probably.
You know
Um,
what else is impressive? Like if you look at Radhanath Swami's temple, the Radha Gopinath temple in Mumbai, which has like just living on the property like 80 young monks, right? And they're just like intelligent people coming out of the best schools in Mumbai. And they go into the colleges. That's the thing. They go into like you go into IIT, which is like this super high level university that only like the the top, you know, students can manage to get into. And you go right there and you begin to explain this tradition in a way that those students have never, they've all grown up in families where people are ringing bells and doing pujas, but they don't really know why. And to someone on that level of
mm,
scientific engineering thought, it just doesn't appeal to them. You go right there and you begin to explain it on a whole different level of how the whole thing works. And you turn those people onto it. And then it's like you've got a force within society now where the most educated people really understand what this is all about and they can go out and represent.
I give class there. Do you know that? IIT Bombay, Mumbai.
Congratulations, Raghunath.
I know. You might call me a professor if you want to today.
That's okay. I don't really feel the need to do that. It doesn't feel.
Vinyavali, thanks for that backstory. That was good. It was educational, and according
Thank
to
you.
Henry on the message board,
Indeed,
it was
consultant.
fascinating. It was fascinating.
Also, my brother Dinesh is on the show. Dinesh is my brother. He
Whoa,
goes to
this is
Dinesh.
your brother.
and
Yeah.
he goes to IIT. Just saying.
See that?
Dinesh,
Let's
Dinesh,
get
I'm
him
just
on.
gonna, and he's listening to the podcast. I'm gonna call him my student.
Okay,
Oh,
we got
this
to
is
get Dinesh on later. Maybe not today, but
okay.
another show.
All
Good to
right,
know. Thank you, Vinyavali.
that was good.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Okay, you ready to get into it, Rogan?
Narayanam namaskrityanam chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam madhirayat. Before we start in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Salakya Chakshurun Midatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 14, Text 15. We only did one verse yesterday.
Yeah, we got into the whole thing.
There's a lot to be talked about.
There's a lot here.
It's so easy to skip over stuff if you're just reading this on your own.
Yeah.
You
We
know,
talked about
it's-
prasad yesterday. It was all about what we eat. It's
Yeah.
fundamental
And if
stuff.
you read it and you don't get it, you'll be like, I'm just going to skip it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to dissect this, tease it out, give some
Okay.
reflection, talk about our own experience.
Okay. Now, instructions to the householders, right? What do we
Okay.
got next?
I never even said the word householder before I was a devotee. Is it like a devotee thing? A householder?
Married people.
We just say are married people, householders. People don't even have houses anymore. Okay. Every day one should worship the supreme being who is situated in everyone's heart.
Okay.
And on this basis, one should separately worship the demigods,
Mhm.
the saintly persons,
Mhm.
ordinary human beings, and living entities, one's forefathers, there you go, and one's self.
This is the rent you pay for your room here on Earth.
Oh, Kasuba, you're good.
Right?
In this way, one is able to worship the supreme being in the core of
Oh.
everyone's heart.
Tying it all together.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah. So this isn't just. It's not just some hollow ritual. This is to become deeply spiritual, realize and connect with God in your own heart. But you're operating in this world, and everything in this world is in connection to that God within your heart. You know? So you have the Devas. How does one worship the Devas? Generally, temple rituals, right? Puja and so on.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you go to those big temples in India. They usually have lots of little temples all around them, right? Like there's a main sanctum sanctorium, which like is the central feature, right, of the temple.
Yeah.
Where like let's say it's a temple to
I love when they
Vishnu.
use Latin words to describe Hindu things. The Sanctus Sanctorium.
That's the sacred of the sacred, like the
Yeah.
Garbhagriha. There we go, Vinay.
Garbhagriha.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vinyala.
And but then around that there'll be like smaller temples where anyone can go up and make their offering easily, you know, like you don't have to stand in line for a long time. And you could go there and, you know, on Tuesday worship Hanuman, you know, or things like that, you know. Or Saturday, I suppose, Hanuman, right? And you can over here, Raghunath. Come on. We're
You know
just
what?
getting
I'm
started.
just
You're already
breaking. You said Garbhagriha, and it's
Yeah.
Garbhagriha. That means like
Griha.
the
I'm sorry.
womb. That means like the home,
The
which is like the
Garbha
womb.
Griha, the womb
like
house.
The womb house.
So then you know, because the Devas are providing our light, our water, our everything that we got. You know, we got to pay rent for that. We do it through showing some gratitude. Saintly persons, how do they serve the saintly persons, Raghu?
How do they serve the saintly persons?
Yeah.
Uh,
If you had a saintly person you wanted to serve them, what would you do?
you could render service to their body. Like,
I mean, most
here's
commonly.
some food.
Yeah, most
Or you could
commonly you invite
serve,
them
or
into
you
your
could
home.
serve their. I mean, you could worship like puja, or you could worship with them physically if they're there. You welcome them in, you feed them. Or in our case, we serve saintly people by spreading a message because you're serving their mission.
Okay, I'm just talking about it in the most common traditional way. Generally, you would invite a saintly person to your home, feed them, right?
Yeah.
Maybe say, please stay here, you know, things like that. It's incredibly common in Indian culture that you do that. Please come to my home.
Please come to
Yeah.
my home. They'll
me
invite
serve you.
anybody in. They'll
Let me
invite come to your.
Please get out of my home.
I'm not even saintly, and I get invited in people's homes on a regular basis. Please,
Yeah.
please come. I'm like, I'm traveling with 25 people. They're like, that's okay. You bring them all. Right? And then you're laughing, and you may think,
do that.
well, not really. No, I've literally brought 40 people to people's houses that I don't even know.
If you actually
There's
have faith,
there's people I know that I don't invite 40 people to my house. I guess maybe we do here. We do invite 40 people to our house. Okay. Sorry to cut you.
if you actually really believe in karma, then you see this as like this huge opportunity,
Yeah.
right? And so you invite those people over. You know, ordinary human beings, how do you serve them? A lot of times that has to do with feeding them, right? Taking the opportunity. You go to like a Hindu temple, you go to an ISKCON temple, you know, and like they're saying today's feast is sponsored by,
Right.
know,
The blah, blah,
so
blah
it's
family. Yeah.
yeah, and because the idea is I want to serve everyone. I want, and a great way to do that is feeding. You know, you look at talking about this entitlement versus like obligation kind of dichotomy.
Right.
Look at the wedding ritual, right?
Yeah.
Think about how, if you read about weddings in these ancient texts,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, oh, okay, Sita married Ram, you know, or whatever, maybe that's not a good case because did they get married in Ayodhya, or did they
No,
get married
they got
before they
married
went back
in,
to Ayodhya? Yeah.
they got married before they went back.
So Ram's parents weren't even there.
Ooh, Vinyavli nailed it. Matilla. Great one.
Mithila.
Great trivia
Yeah.
question.
But you know, generally, like you hear, like the parents are like they're giving in charity on the day of the wedding. They're feeding everyone sumptuously. They're giving charity to the brahmanas, charities to everyone. And the whole idea was this sense that we want this marriage to be blessed. We want everybody here within their heart
Mm.
to be feeling good about this and blessing it.
Mm.
And so by serving everyone, that's why you invite a lot of people to a wedding,
Mm.
is so that you have the opportunity to serve them all. Now think of the Western attitude, right? If you invite a lot of people to the wedding, the motive may be to impress others. Right? Like
Wow. I
that
don't
that
think so. I don't
no,
think
hold
so.
on.
That's stupid.
Oh yeah, no, that never enters into anyone's mind when they're having a wedding is impressing that no, that
Well, you don't think I don't want to get into
I'm
it, but
just
you
hear
don't
me
think
out.
it's impressive to have the Kardashians come to your wedding?
Okay.
Is anyone following the what are the Umbinis? What's her
Ambani.
name? The Ambani marriage.
Yeah. Okay,
That's
but now
There's
hear
some
me out.
impressive people showing up at that wedding.
Hear
Justin
me out.
Timberlake was there, I think.
Okay. Now, how many times have we heard this kind of thing? And I don't mean to shame anyone by saying this,
But you will. Go ahead.
but how many times do we hear something like, "What are we inviting all these people? This is our day."
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Like the wedding
Good
is
point.
this
Good
is
point.
our day.
Let's just have people say, let's just have a few people. Let's just have a few people.
This
We'll
is
just be
our
out there
day.
on a lake or something, on the seaside.
Yes, so we begin to think of the wedding as this is my special day to be the star of the show.
Yeah.
Everyone is going to be looking at me.
Oh, Amy Stellar. She said
Right.
I did that. My marriage failed.
Okay.
But you didn't fail, Amy.
So, whereas the Eastern idea is more like we're inviting all these people for our own benefit so that we can receive their blessings on this important day so that this
Yeah.
can be an auspicious beginning. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's the entitled thing. Who the hell, what are these people doing here? This is our day to have fun and be the stars of the show. I've been thinking about how this day is going to play out in my mind for,
Where
for so
I'm the
many years.
princess.
I'm the princess. No. It's like you want to get those people and you want the opportunity to serve them. That's why you have the big feast and all of that, so that you can please all those people and so that you can receive their blessings. And that's the idea here, is that when you have wealth in those householder years, you use it to serve others. And that is what helps prevent you from falling into the pit of entitlement and just indulgence, selfish indulgence.
Right on the message board, everybody. Who had the very expensive over-the-top wedding? Put it on the board right now. Okay.
And then it says
and
you
who
also
else
have to
got
serve
married
it.
for under $1,000?
And then I got married for under $1,000, way under.
Where did you get married?
In Dallas.
In Dallas. Okay.
Yeah. But
I will
I fed
say the
everyone.
thing about the Hare Krishnas is you can do a nice wedding for $1,000.
I did it for $250. Uh-oh, here he goes.
Down, raising them.
Is that your thumper?
Uh,
Check that meter right now, Mara. Make sure he's okay. Hang on. Breathing.
oh my God,
Breathing.
I'm losing. What's that? What's that way you can die by laughing? It said
Asphyxiate.
asphyxiation. That's what I feel like's happening.
Easy. So we heard that you're using your wealth to worship others so that you can connect with God in your own heart.
Okay.
You worship in the Devas, the saintly persons, the ordinary humans. It also mentions the animals and all other living entities. That means animals, trees. You honor them too. Take care of them.
Honor
You
the
engage your wealth in
trees.
care of them. Yeah. You take care of animals, is that right?
Yeah, I honor
Take care of
them.
your trees. Okay.
Yeah, yes, we do.
But all of this again is not to impress others, it's not even to cultivate good karma.
Well, here's what you're doing, Kostuba. What you're doing is explaining what a wedding should be. You
Yeah.
don't even have to go east or west here. You have to. You're
I'm
giving
saying
the significance.
it's there in the Western, but we just so much lost touch with it.
Well, we lost touch with it, and I'm sure Indians have too. But this is the substance behind the wedding. We want blessings. We want to make a commitment in perhaps a sacred place in front of priests, family members, our best friends. We want to make a public statement, right? And that we can create a samskara, an impression in our consciousness. When things get rough, which they inevitably do, here was a time we were both very sober-minded. We were around all these people that we love in a holy place, and we made a bold commitment. And we take a photo of it and put it on the mantle, and that's the importance of it. It's to help us also when things get tough as well. But I like what you're saying. You're giving the why because, you know, it can get lost in the ego thing, like the fairy princess holiday, you know. But there is substance behind a marriage. People say, "Oh, it's just a piece of paper; it means nothing." No, it does mean something. It's important statement to the universe.
But in all of this is being shared again in the context of definitely not like impressing others, but not even in the context of cultivating good karma. Here in Bhagavatam, we're hearing we do this in order to connect with the Supreme Lord in one's heart and in the core of everyone's heart, right? This is all moving towards that. Let's hear text 16. This is a continuation here.
When one is enriched with wealth and knowledge, which are under his full control, and by means of which he can perform yajna or please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one must perform sacrifice, offering oblations to the fire, according to the directions of Shastra. In this way, one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So if you have wealth, you know, imagine once you get the wealth, right? You live this simple life as a monk in your early days, and then, you know, you're just kind of sleeping simply and eating simply and serving, and your time is really engaged in serving the guru and learning. And then suddenly you're on your own, like the leash is cut loose, and you have money, and the temptation is to get lost in that in a selfish spiral. So now what's being laid out here is here's it speaking in a rational way about your obligations in life and how you should engage that wealth. And so it's saying that you should do yajna, right? You should, and these offerings, these performances of yajna, they're kind of like, there's two ways you can think of it, right? One is that you do it like daily yourself. And again, you know, like you might have that little fire pit in the center of the home, you know, in the courtyard, where morning and evening you spend 20 minutes or half an hour chanting mantras and making offerings to bring your mind to, you know, the gratitude that one should have for everything that one's receiving in life. You're making an offering back to God. That's a way of daily training your mind. But there's also ideas of like, let me take a certain percentage of my income and let me engage it in a way that I serve everyone. And you would put on these events and invite everyone to come and feed everyone. You know, so it's kind of
Right.
like, if I have wealth, let me put on an event which draws everyone's attention to like the highest, most edifying object of focus, and honor all those people that have come by serving them, by feeding them. Maybe I give them a little gift. Sometimes you give them like some cloth, right? Like that's like you
Right.
know, like here's a nice dhoti, a
Well,
nice
it's
sari.
sort of
You
like
know.
what the Jews do with Shabbats.
Oh,
You come over.
multicultural here.
Well,
What you
on
got?
Friday night, the family comes over, and
Yeah.
of course, this thing was rooted in spirit. Sometimes they become more like social gatherings
Yeah.
and family gatherings, but the idea is that it's a spiritual gathering. And the satsang, or when people come together to talk about sat or eternal topics,
Truth.
right? To talk about truth. That's a powerful thing. It's an equivalent of a pious or transcendental party within what we know as
Yes.
Hinduism, where you have somebody talking, you have some chanting, a bunch of people make food, and you party. And that's what a party was. It's a transcendental party, and it's a huge part of this culture.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom,
I
right? See
see.
what can happen, and Martine can correct us. She's Jewish, I think.
Yeah, she's piping
Yeah.
in here.
What can happen is it can be reduced to a family get together. I mean, a pious, nice family thing, which is a nice thing. I'm not saying it's not a nice. Matter
But
of
you're
fact,
missing the full depth.
most people are disconnected with their family, but I'm sure the origins were get together and talk about have a spiritual connection within your family.
Right. Those Jewish mothers will remind you of your obligations, right? Yeah.
Martine says it's the holiest day.
What does
in
Shabbat
Jewish-
shalom mean, Martine? Could you help us with
Martine,
that?
can we unmute her for a second?
Let's get Martine on here.
Let's get Martine on here. Martine,
We're reaching out left and
we
right
just
today.
you know what? It's called phone a friend. Hi,
Okay.
Martine. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
This is Martine from Maine, originally from France. How are you? Good to see you.
Very good, actually. So
So-
Shabbat is the holiest day in the Jewish tradition, even though we have high holidays and Yom Kippur and all that. But every day, every week, it's the day of rest. So you're not supposed to cook, to light, to, the very observant Jews.
That's Saturday, correct?
That's Saturday,
Friday,
right?
it's Friday night, sunset to sunset.
Okay, Friday night until
Yeah,
Friday
Saturday
night, sunset to
Yeah,
sunset.
so it changes
That's-
because we go on a lunar calendar,
So do we.
yeah, I know. So, and shalom means peace. So you bring actually on Shabbat you wear white. You're supposed to wear white,
Okay.
and you bring
Probably nobody does that.
well,
Yeah,
you?
Hold on, Raghu.
you bring the bride. It's called bringing the bride of the peace of Shabbat into your life, into your spiritual life, your home, etc. And then you light candles, you say prayer, you bring light into your soul and your heart, and you break bread, the challah, which is the braided bread,
Hala.
and you say the bread blessings, and yeah.
Now, isn't there a Jewish holiday, one of the main ones, but I'm forgetting which one, where like before you celebrate, you're supposed to kind of make peace with all of like the people in your life? Maybe
That's Yom Kippur.
on Yom Kippur.
Lekaper means to atone. And so we fast from sunset to sunset. And again, it's always at the same time of year, but never the same date.
Yeah.
And our year right now, we are in year 5,700 and something. And so no food, no water, no nothing. You're not supposed to drive. You go to temple, you walk to temple, and you're supposed to be in temple all day and pray. So there is a lot of prayers to atone yourself individually, but we all know that we have to atone ourselves as a community, because none of us are perfect, and we all stray, and we all do things that are not always kosher, to use and so we also through prayer, and they're beautiful prayers, and then we atone,
but
we
isn't
do our
that
best to atone, within ourselves as a community and with the divine. So,
but is it that before the actual day, like building up to the day, you would maybe apologize to someone?
yeah, so there is a 10-day period between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur.
Okay.
And then through this period of time, you you know, you read, you start to do your introspection, you do your journey, you walk your path within.
But do you have to actually apologize to somebody?
That's where we want to get. What
That's
about
what-
approaching other
have
people?
you ever been like, it's coming up, I got to make that call? Or have you just been like, whatever?
I don't know. I mean, you can. I assume I'm not an expert.
Okay,
I am a Reformed Jew, and
Yeah.
but I'm very, my
Thomas, yeah.
very Jewish. So
Thomas is saying you atone.
yeah.
Tone.
That's what I've heard. At least that was the idea, is that I can't really honor this day properly and bring my mind to where it has to be, my heart where it has to be, until I've worked out these things with the other people in my life.
Sure. I mean, it's always good to be vocal about
Yeah.
your shortcomings, and it's humbling to go up to someone that you either well, you don't know well, or intimate with, and say, I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry I did this.
I'm sorry that your bulbous head stretched out the neck of my sweater.
So it's, but I think, this is, I mean, I'm not expert in anything, but I think we find these in every tradition, right? In the Jewish,
so much commonality, right?
Yeah.
And because they all come from one base, right? And then they fan out with different things.
Yeah.
So, it's a very, some people are unable to apologize because it's too frightening.
It can be hard.
It's frightening, to put yourself to literally take your clothes off, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Bare your heart and soul to someone and acknowledge that you've strayed, so you make yourself stories inside your head, and then you keep going that way, and we know where that leads. In any situation,
Martine should have her own podcast. She's just like dropping all this knowledge right
listen.
now.
Thank you, Martine. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I love having you. She's been
We got
here.
our Indian consultants, our Jewish consultants.
Yeah, there's so much commonality, Kostuba, huh?
No doubt, the fasting, the meditation.
It's amazing. Like, there's always religious wars. Just find out what's in common. Try not to find the differences. If we could just do that, the world would be so much more peaceful.
Do we have to do everything?
Do I have to do it? Do I have to do everything around here, Kostuba?
You're the peacemaker, Raghunath. That's who you are.
What
was that hedge? Mara's like, oh, yeah, this guy.
Hard time.
I know. Jiu-Jitsu Enough says Martine just gathered a bunch of converts to Judaism. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Carla Strandberg is backing this up. She's saying.
Carla's back. Okay.
There's so many.
We got a whole
so much
Jewish.
commonality.
We could have a Jewish sage group.
Well, we already got a Jewish prasadam restaurant.
Yes, we do. Ben and Esther's.
Maybe they should meet there on the Sabbath.
Yeah.
See, now I know why that what is it? BH. It's B&H. That store.
Yeah, B&H Camera Shop.
Yeah,
Udi
they
went
close.
there. He
They're
lost
close.
his mind.
Not only they close Saturday, but they close early on Friday.
Oh, that's why.
See, they're getting ready.
How do you even run a business with this type of?
They run a successful business. They have that faith that if I do the right thing,
Udi was there. They're like, "Get out of the store. We're closing up."
They can be a little heavy
I'm
there
about
too.
to make a big purchase, and they're like, "Get out of here." Okay.
Oh, their website talks. Thomas's has a lot of information.
Thomas says their website even tells why they.
Jenny Pretty says her mother keeps them in business. She buys everything there.
All right, let's continue on with this instead
think
of
we're
doing an
almost done,
advertisement
right?
for B&H cameras here.
It's 58.
Oh man, that flew by fast. Time flies when you're inviting guests on. That's good.
When you're having interfaith dialogue.
Interfaith dialogue with Raghunath. All those bumper stickers.
Am I here, Raghunath?
Yes, you are.
Okay, just checking.
What are those bumper stickers with all the signs? One path or something like that.
Yeah. Coexist.
Coexist.
That
Thank
is
you,
it.
Udi.
Thanks.
Coexist.
Yeah. Okay. You guys ready for some takeaways?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have debts to our forefathers just from our birth in this world.
that's right.
Just for our birth, we got debts. That's right.
Don't
Take up
resent
their-
it, right? Don't resent it. Go with it. Appreciate
Don't
it.
resent it.
We
Yeah.
are loved and maintained and obligated to repay our debts.
No.
You know what was interesting about Martine? She said that whole thing about like, okay, what year is it? She's like 5,000. It's amazing that the Christians won this one, huh? It's like they get the calendar. They won. They're like, okay, we're gonna make up the calendar, and you're all gonna follow it.
We can get it back, Raghu.
We want it back. We want it back.
What Shakubda era?
Shakubda. That is that the Lord Chaitanya one, right? The Shakubda era. The Lord Chaitanya calendar.
There's integrity in pleasing and appreciating your elders.
There certainly is.
Yeah.
I want you to honor your mother a little today, Raghunath.
Me? I do.
And your Abruzzo roots.
Okay. It's 5784, Martine says. That's the year it is.
Okay.
They haven't forgotten the calendar. God knows what that Chinese calendar is. Forget it.
Okay.
Through duty, love develops.
Through duty, love
Through duty, love
develops.
develops.
That's
Not
a
that you
good one.
love and
Vinyavali
then,
gets
yeah.
the point. You're going to give you the credit for that one.
By the
That's
way,
that's your T-shirt, Vinyavali.
if we want to get the calendar back, it's kind of a special challenge because like we got to not only change it up, but like we got to switch it over to lunar, and that means we have to convince everyone. Look, we don't have just like a leap year; we got a leap month. Okay,
It's going to screw up everybody's birthday.
every 4 years, there's gonna be a whole nother
Your
month.
birthday changes every year, Martine. Did you know that?
Oh, Mara, look at that!
Squirreled us
Whoa.
both
Little
here.
sassy this morning, Mara, breaking out that squirrel.
Thank you to Martine for the squirrel that she sent us.
Martine sent us this squirrel, right?
Yeah, she did.
That's great.
And
It's
she
such a
sent
great.
Gazebo one,
Hold on, what's
too.
going on
It's
with
such
your
a great
squirrel? What's
prop.
it holding? It's got like a blanket or something.
Oh no,
It's
it's
a
gray.
scarf.
Oh yeah,
Scarf.
it's wearing a scarf and it's got its hands in namaste.
Nice.
Okay. I am grateful for you is more than I love you.
Ooh.
Oh,
Also Vinyavali.
Ooh, the Vinyavali.
nice.
All right, I think you guys.
It's
are gonna,
the Vinyavali hour.
I think you guys are gonna like this one.
Hmm.
Use your wealth to serve others and avoid the pit of entitlement.
Okay. Yes.
Find the commonalities, not the differences.
Raghunath.
And
It's a mug.
And
don't be a freeloader.
don't be afraid.
Don't be a freeloader. Pay your rent. Your rent is service to others. Thanks
Or
everybody for
Muhammad
joining
Ali's
us.
going to be upset with you.
Yeah, and then
You
you
don't
get
want that.
punched. And you get a hook to the chin. Thanks everybody for joining us. Don't forget our pilgrimage to India with me, Miss Mara, and Kostuba. That's happening in October. It's on my website, raghunath.yoga. Check that out. Of course, Wisdom of the Sages. Retreat in January in India, too. That's really special. That's where we just study sacred literature in the Govardhan Eco Village. Some people are not too much for the adventure. They just want to park it in India. Well, you park it there at the Govardhan Eco Village. Then we take a group to Mayapur right after that.
Yeah, you can always put those two together.
Hang out. If you like Wisdom of the Sages, hang out with us. Come hang out with us. But also our Wisdom of the Sages retreat is happening at Super Soul Farm. That's up on the Wisdom of the Sages website. You can go there and you register right now if you want to. And come visit us here at the farm. It'd be nice. That's Columbus Day weekend. And Chant Camp is happening at Super Soul Farm on Labor Day weekend if you want a way to do that. Just we want you here for that.
Go to Raghunath.
That's raghunath.yoga. You can
I'm not
register
going to
now.
commit, but I'm
Build
definitely
up.
going to consider.
All right. All right. We'll take care of you. Bear will make you some goodies.
Where will I stay, Raghunath?
Oh, we got a place for you. Nice
The
place
fur
for you.
icebox?
The Airstream.
Oh, yeah. Airstream is nice. How's the Airstream doing? It's been worked out good for you this summer?
Airstream's great. Airstream's great.
We got a busy day today, Raghunath. We've got a meeting today, Raghunath.
We got a meeting. We got 2 meetings. We got meetings. Trying to get back on track here.
Back on track.